contest is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the World Heavyweight
Podcast.
We're gonna make
The World Heavyweight Podcast.
great again! Nerd! Nerd!
Entering the ring at this time, your tag team champions of the podcast world, Howard Farewell. But we're just waiting for the wheels to fall off. Yes, 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 yes. Get rid of your six-sided ring array. Josh Rivera.
God does not want this podcast to happen.
You happy I brought my shovel to bury this segment?
What station is it again? Who gives a fuck?
Yabba dabba, shut the fuck up.
The World Heavyweight Podcast.
I don't care how big, how tough, or what they've accomplished. They're nerds.
Plus, if you have ovaries, prepare to lose them.
Welcome everyone to the World Heavyweight Podcast Special Monday Edition, Joshua. I am always, as always, I'm already off to a wonderful start, Josh. Already off to a wonderful start. I'm a mess. Yeah, we are recording your audio. We're good to go. See, we already don't give a shit. I'm Howie Farrell. That over there is Josh Rivera. Follow us at the WHPC on Twitter, Facebook.com/World Heavyweight Podcast, the new thewhpc.podbean.com, Instagrams everything is at the WHPC. Like I said, special Monday edition because we have to talk about the hottest topic in professional wrestling right now, and that's New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we decided to make a little call, and we have a special guest from Rant with Ant himself. Hello, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up? I'm so glad I'm talking to you guys in like a clear mindset after the NXT Brooklyn fumble that I had.
Yeah, it was a little...
I became an internet meme during SummerSlam. My drunken face was everywhere on Twitter.
We have yet to reach that level of stardom.
That's the last thing I want it to be remembered as, but guess what? Any publicity is good, right? So.
That's what they say. So... we've gone. How many years have we watched Wrestle Kingdom now?
I'd say
this
this
is like our third or fourth year, right?
Yeah, I'd say this is our third year watching it.
So, well, if you guys haven't or new to the show, we actually did. I think about a year or so. Was it about a year? Maybe after the first New Japan we did, or was it? I don't remember. It's about 100 episodes ago. We did kind of a New Japan 101, and this was your first ever Wrestle Kingdom. You haven't seen any of them ever before?
You know, I went back, watched Nakamura, Styles, all Okada, Omega, obviously. Mm-hmm. This was my first one experiencing live, like where I actually want to sit down, watch it, and take it in, because I feel like, especially with New Japan, if you don't watch it live, it's going to get spoiled, and it takes away from that. I mean, look at the
sure.
Omega Okada draw at Dominion. Like, watching that live probably was amazing, but when you know it's going to end in a draw, it's kind of anticlimactic.
Oh, absolutely. That's it. Yeah, that's why I kind of get upset when people start spoiling stuff for me, and even in the stateside stuff. I'm like, I don't want to. It's supposed to be a surprise, but
yeah.
I think I ended up watching that one live, or was that I don't
Dominion?
Remember. Was that Dominion we were watching live? I don't know.
Pretty
There's so many shows that we have and haven't seen at this point from New Japan. It's weird because we got into it a few years ago because a wrestling fan of ours said, look, I can't sit here and watch you watch WWE. There's so much better stuff out there.
This was during dark times.
Well, this was...
2014.
2014.
Fall 2014.
I think AJ was just about to lose the heavyweight title there or something. Nakamura was still running hard as the Intercontinental champ, and it was like the month before. Yeah, it was the month before the Ibushi Nakamura match was the first Wrestle Kingdom that we watched. But he introduced us to Power Struggle first. So we go over there thinking, all right, this is going to be a regular pay-per-view. 2, 3 in the morning. Next thing we know, we're turning around. It's 7. We have no idea what the fuck just happened.
The sun's out. I hear birds chirping. Like...
It's so funny because I was watching, and I'm sure you guys got hit with that fucking storm during Wrestle Kingdom. So I'm watching at 2 a.m. I have my coffee and I'm just fucking so pumped. And meanwhile, there's a blizzard going on outside.
Yeah.
So I'm literally just watching a blizzard while I'm watching Wrestle Kingdom. I literally watched 18 inches of snow fall in that 6-hour span, and I had no problem. I'm like, good. I'm not going to go outside. Now I can sleep all day. Gave me excuse to like be in bed all day. Like my wife couldn't be like, hey, can you go to Walmart? No, none of that shit. I got to fucking lay in the couch and sleep all day.
I've gotten so used to just automatically downgrading whatever the news report says, because lately the snowfall in this particular area has been somewhat lackluster, and so I call it an early night. He stays up to watch Wrestle Kingdom. I wake up the next morning. My buddy texts me, "Hey, you going to work?" Because fuck this shit. he commutes like an hour 15. I commute about 40 minutes, and I open the blinds, and it's just whiteout conditions. It's just wind, constant snowfall. I ended up doing that for 6 hours on Thursday here. But
the best part is my genius ass. I'm like, you know what, G-Rod and Phil, what we're going to do, we're going to record after Wrestle Kingdom. Like, we're going to record Thursday night for the show Friday. Usually we record Wednesday night. We like to prep it and edit it. So I'm like, but no, we need to talk New Japan. It's the fucking hot topic.
Exactly.
So, then there's a snowdrift, right? Because the wind
God, it's huge.
in front of my studio was 37 inches of snow.
Yep.
So I'm like walking out here with my backpack, with my my MacBook, and the snow's up to my waist. So I get in, I'm like, what do I do now? So I took my fucking pants off and recorded my boxers like any normal person would do, right?
Of course, yeah. The amount of production that I've done in a robe and or underwear defies imagination.
As long as it's not a video show, but even if it is, who cares?
Yeah, neck up.
All right, before we get into underwear, call my boss, told her I'm not coming in, and I declared it New Japan Day or Wrestle Kingdom Day.
now, did you watch? Like, did you wake up and just go, all right, fuck this, it's time to watch it now?
I woke up, started a coffee machine, and threw on where I left off from last, because I caught a little bit of the beginning of the show.
You went to bed at what, like 2 in the morning? No,
I went to bed like 3 in the morning. Yeah, like 4 in the morning. I think.
Did you get to Cody and Ibushi?
Yeah, I just threw right on Cody and Ibushi and took it from there.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was Cody Rhodes' best match ever.
Man, that crossroads off the apron. Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what's so magical about it. Is like I had friends that only watch WWE and they're watching because Chris Jericho. So the influence Jericho has. And now they're Kenny Omega fans. Now it's wow, Kenny Omega is the best wrestler in the world.
Right.
Like we did our award show
we're
where the
not just
listeners
saying
voted.
that, people.
Yeah, like, and what's funny is like we did this award show. We do the Golden Mike Awards, and
ours is
we're a very, very WWE heavy show. Like,
right. Well, you kind of have to be because it's the biggest kid on the block.
They give us 15 fucking hours of content a week, so we're like, you know what? Like, I could not believe that Kenny Omega won Wrestler of the Year. He won non-WWE Wrestler of the Year. The Bull Club won the Faction of the Year. Omega Okada won Feud of the Year. Omega Okada won Match of the Year. Jericho Omega won Shocking Moment of the Year. And I'm like, holy fuck, like WWE won like 2 awards the whole night. And I was like,
we were
for a
expecting
WWE audience. Yeah, exactly. For a WWE audience, it's like, what happened? There's like this shift where everyone just now opened their eyes and said, okay, New Japan is that good.
The internet is a wonderful place sometimes, and it was, if it wasn't for everything that happened at Wrestle Kingdom last year going on into the Jericho thing this year, it's just opened everybody's eyes because, like I said, we've been watching for like 2-3 years now. I try not to be a hyper nerd about it, but we kind of are. I mean, that's half of our production elements are just people shouting nerds. Nerd. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, if you listen back, you'll hear all the production and the intros and everything.
Oh, I heard the intro. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of known about some of this for a while, but I mean, this is what I've been trying to tell some people. It's like, look, if you're not satisfied with what WWE gives you, there's some really great things happening. And I always suggest, look, they finally got English. It used to be that they didn't have English commentary.
That was the easy cop-out. Was, oh, well, I can't understand anything.
Right. And even then, I watched it more. Well, I'm also a kind of an anime fan, so this worked really easily for me. I mean, I would have preferred just subtitles because I love watching the Japanese commentary lose their fucking minds.
Yeah.
They're the most entertaining commentary team in the history of ever. I don't need to know what they're saying. I can kind of figure it out just because, oh, well, he seems to be excited. I should probably be excited too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said that. Like, you've been saying it for years, because we did a show called The Wrestle Addict. That's where I started podcasting, me and G-Rod, and we had Paul Sweat, who is he's great on Twitter, Y2Stump. And he literally was just like, you guys need to watch New Japan. And he kept saying, like, Nakamura. Nakamura.
Oh, yeah.
And then I watched Nakamura Ibushi, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like,
that's what did it
because
for
I was
us,
someone
too.
like,
Japan's greatest export was not Sony PlayStations; it was Nakamura.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, you know, they're Japanese guys. How am I supposed to get into that? Like, I don't know why I thought that, but that's just, you know what I mean? It's like, they're a totally different culture. I'm not going to understand it.
And
I'm like,
so easy.
But it's, their storytelling is so easy. And then you had people like AJ Styles there, and you know, and it's funny, I'm such a diehard Owen Hart fan. Like, I love Owen Hart. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. And after, like, I watched New Japan with Nakamura, I went back and watched Owen Hart in New Japan. And I was like, I've never seen this side of Owen Hart. So it opened my eyes to a more broad, you know, horizon with Finn Balor when I was watching Prince Devitt, you know what I mean, in New Japan. And then I would, like, one match at a time. Then Omega Okada happened last year, and it was like, it
Blew
clicked.
my mind.
And I was like, this product is something that you have to watch. And then they come over to the U.S. and they kill it. And then the G1, Omega Naito,
Oh my God, the G1.
fucking blew the doors off. And I'm like, there's no reason to miss any of this wrestling anymore.
None. And at least for big shows, because well, let's go into some of the little bit more of the finer points for those people looking to get into New Japan. If you want to watch New Japan, the only place to go, at least right now, well, there's two places to go. If you're in America, you can check out the Access TV show, which is good, but if you're a nerd about it like us, we kind of want to get it up to date. And there were supposedly, I think I saw a story where they're working on trying to get that a little bit more tighter and closer.
Mark Cuban wants to bring it live to Access TV.
Which would be fucking amazing.
Mark Cuban's a fucking savior, for one. I love that guy.
Oh, yeah, he's great. And he's one of those guys that's like, look, I've made all my money on my own, like from nothing, so who cares? Let's take a shot at it. Like, if there's a market for this.
If anyone has the money to match Vince in the United States, it's fucking Mark Cuban. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like he could be the next sort of Ted Turner, which, I mean, they need a foothold in America. They're a bigger network to actually be in more homes. It might not be a major, but it's at least better cable than like Destination America or Pop TV. Or
Pop.
These other ones.
Impact's been operating lately.
Watching the Final Deletion and under it's the fucking TV guide. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right,
like,
exactly.
What are you doing, Pop TV? I don't care what's on channel 102 right now.
So that's if you're in America and you don't care whether there's a time delay or anything on it. Right now, Access TV is the place to be. They do a Friday weekly show. It's the only problem I really have with that is that they condense the shit out of some stuff. So if you're watching that, it is a relatively edited form of what you could normally be seeing if you're watching it through NewJapanWorld.com. It's exactly the same as the WWE Network, except I feel like they give you more for slightly less, because
it's like $8 a month, right?
Right.
Eight something. And guess what? It has like a lot of classics on it, and you can really dive in, and you can see like all these guys that we're cheering for in WWE: Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle. They're all in New Japan, so go watch it. You know what I mean?
Even you can watch Kurt Angle wrestle Shinsuke. You can watch Shinsuke wrestle Brock. You can watch Finn wrestle all of these guys. It's a great place to go. They have added quite a bit of English commentary on some old matches, so they do have a growing library of stuff that is where they explain everything in English for you. Again, since I'm an anime fan, I'm okay with subtitles, and that's been my thing for the longest time.
Just keep you on the glued to the story. You didn't see where it's going.
Right. Well, but I mean, like, we even saw when they were doing some of these YouTubes on their English channel, when they put, I think they actually, if you turn on the subtitles in YouTube for closed captioning, it translates it into English.
Wow.
So I was watching some of these, like the Jay White, Tanahashi, the Naito Omega, and when they, instead of just wondering what the guy is shouting and being dramatic about in Japanese, doing the voiceover, it's telling you what they're saying. I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of got that idea, but this is fucking perfect. Sign me up. Take all of my money.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that the Japanese crowd's so like chill, and the announcers are so fucking crazy.
They are polite.
It's
Not
amazing.
Quiet, they're polite.
They're polite. Oh yeah. I mean, they were chanting at what is it, New Year's Dash? They were chanting Kenny really loud. Kenny, like when he saved the Bushi, holy shit.
Where are the commentators as super fans?
That was. I'm telling you though, it's I've never heard a crowd like when Y2J, when Jericho showed up on that screen and they were all chanting Y2J, I got chills. I was like, that's a crowd that is very polite and never really gets riled up, and they were pumped. They were
they do get in. It's not that they're quiet. I mean, they're polite and they're engaged
they're not
and
chanting
invested in
CM Punk.
everything very seriously.
Yeah. They're not chanting CM Punk during a match.
No, exactly. It's like, we're getting a 4-star match between people that should have probably not have been working here 3 years ago, and you're gonna fucking throw around a beach ball? God damn it!
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. That's the yep movement. Yep.
Yep. But so NewJapanWorld.com, that's the best place to go if you want to watch everything live. The great thing about New Japan before, which makes everything a lot simpler, is the way they just kind of portray everything in general, right? Because we're all used to sports entertainment and pro wrestling as done essentially by the WWE because it's got it has the most wide range appeal. But in Japan, it's very different. We all know it's not real, but they portray everything as absolutely real. From the moment they're considered real competitive sporting matches, so they treat them as such. It's as if we were watching predetermined football matches, which you might be seeing anyway. But
whoops.
But everything they portray is as if it's real. So the stories that they tell are, well, this guy lost 3 times to that guy. What does he have to change in his game? Is he going to be able to counter that finishing move? Or is he going to be able to kick out?
Or these guys came up as young lions at the same time, but then one somehow excelled while the other one didn't. And great stories.
This guy's been on a losing streak, like when Okada lost to Tanahashi, what, a year or 2 ago?
Yeah.
He went on a losing streak for like 2 months. And the stories in the Japanese papers were, what is Okada going to do? How can he turn this around? How can he become the Rainmaker again? As if he was like Eli Manning getting benched.
Exactly.
It's that level of realism to them. So it makes those stories just easier to tell in the ring because it doesn't require any elaborate, convoluted soap opera storyline. It's about the title and the guys fighting in the ring.
Yeah, and that's what I really drawn to is like Jericho and Omega. Their build was so just old school wrestling, but it couldn't be built like that if New Japan didn't treat it like a sporting event with press conferences.
Oh, the press conferences are wonderful.
That press conference
the most
was
underused freaking thing ever.
And look, I mean, and that's where the seed was planted for Cody and Omega.
Yeah.
So
wasn't it?
when that happens, they can play that press conference. You know, there's always a press conference for something. I love Naito's press conference because it told a story about how he still doesn't give a fuck.
How he's so late.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a redemption story for Naito. You know what I mean? They built that whole I was told by G-Rod that they were actually voted out of the main event at one point.
That was Wrestle Kingdom 8. He won the G1. We'll get into the G1 a little bit, but if you win the G1, it's like winning the Royal Rumble. You get a guaranteed heavyweight title match to headline Wrestle Kingdom. That year, though, it was Tanahashi was also it's still very big anyway, but there was a fan vote that was put up to what should be the main event for that year's Wrestle Kingdom, whether it was Tanahashi's match or Naito versus whoever was the champion of that time. I don't remember. And they voted for Tanahashi because Tanahashi's the Japanese John Cena.
But then that kind of made Naito the character he is. So,
absolutely.
Where he's throwing around belts and shit.
Oh, so good. It's one of those where so many people get their panties in a bunch about people mishandling titles around in the WWE.
Oh my god!
Which is so stupid.
They had to replace the Intercontinental Championship.
It was broken.
Fucked that thing up.
It was literally smashed to pieces.
Into shards.
I love and you know what's even better is and this is perfect for 101 is Chris Jericho staying, guys, and he's gonna fight Naito. And
so crazy. I still don't know how to put it into words. I'm like, holy shit, he's fucking staying.
Yeah, I Chris Jericho is someone who's going to bring eyes, and he's going to continue to bring eyes. So this is just me fantasy, right? This is my fantasy booking, if you will. He had Omega, right? Next is Naito. At the United States show in California, give me him versus Okada. And that's because
I'd rather see more. I'd rather see Chris Jericho versus Tanahashi.
I would too, but if you give Chris Jericho a title shot in California, you could. I mean, I know the Bucks want to sell at 10,000, but Chris Jericho Okada for the title will sell at 10,000.
The man's got a point, sir.
Quite possible. Quite possible.
I'm tuning. I might want to fly out there if that happens. Are you kidding me? I'm sure we can figure out a place to stay for the day or two.
We still need to figure out All In. Relax.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about All In.
We don't know where it is, but we know when.
It's saying the rumor is Chicago for All In.
Heavily.
But I want East Coast because then New York, Philly, Boston, all in driving distance. Let's do it. You know what I mean?
For real.
Oh, absolutely.
I would drive to any of those places easy. Shit, I'd even drive to Chicago if it
I'm going to drive to Chicago because
I'm flying.
I think this is the mark in me, but there's a reason that they're going to have it in Chicago. All I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you say?
There would be one reason to have it in Chicago for a guy who hasn't been wrestling for quite some time.
Yep. You want to sell that shit out, and you want to get under Vince's skin?
Yeah. Oh. Is it clicking into your head now, Josh?
Yeah.
I mean, like I say on my show, I saw on my show Friday, since we're recording, and it's coming out Monday, that I think there's about a 20% chance CM Punk even thinks about it. You know what I mean? But still, you want to sell out and you want to become competition. You say, okay, we're doing an all-in show. We have Kenny Omega. We have bring over Okada, bring Tanahashi, bring Ibushi, bring Neville if his contract's up, CM Punk, and it's like, holy fuck, this is now competition.
Even if you just have him show up unannounced.
Oh, the music hits, that place.
Oh my god.
I don't know what the internet would do. Imagine what Jericho did with Omega if CM Punk walked out at All In.
Yeah, people would be crying.
I would probably cry, and I'm not a huge mark. I'm not going to chant CM Punk, but he is one of my top 5 of all time because he got me back into wrestling.
Oh yeah,
in 2011.
same here. Exactly.
So
that's the exact
I always
reason
have
I'm
that
sitting here
soft
right
spot.
now.
Yeah, that I always have a soft spot for him and the Shield. So that everyone's like, "Why are you a Roman Reigns fan?" Well, because they got me into wrestling again. So
yeah. So where was I going to go from here? We can. About the real stuff too. The great thing about New Japan also is that you very rarely see, and this happens all the fucking time in WWE. You have a match, there seems to be a match going on, and we're like, all right, this is pretty cool, we're finally getting into it, and then out of nowhere, heel starts to walk away and it's a count out. Or heel takes a DQ win out of nowhere, or something wonky and stupid and convoluted happens. Well, guess what, folks? You want to know how many times I've seen that in New Japan? Almost never. It just doesn't happen. Maybe on the lead up to some of the pay-per-views because they don't have a weekly show. That's the other big thing. They don't have weekly shows. They usually do these like
Little road
month-long
shows.
tours, month-long tournament sort of things, where the story becomes the tournament or the lead into a big show. So they have all of these mixed tag matches of varying kinds and stuff like that. So leading in, so you might see some DQs or wonkiness from a faction fighting another faction to put a hurt on somebody that they're going to be fighting later on. But when the match happens, they let it go.
There's no interference at Wrestle Kingdom.
None.
Like
None. Especially during title matches. Title matches, unless it's
me.
real obvious, it's at the referee's discretion. And the referee usually says, well, let them fight, folks.
Go at it.
Here's the thing, like Bucks were in Omega's corner. If that was WWE, the Bucks would have been jumping Jericho when the ref wasn't looking.
Yep.
And I love that they didn't, because it's literally, you're just a support system. You're not here to help him win. You're a support system. And that's one thing that I've really noticed is like they take the time, they let the guys go as long as they want. I mean, you heard Jericho and Omega say that the juniors went over 30 minutes.
Some insane number.
You went over 30 fucking minutes.
And did every move.
Yep, and stole everyone's moves. Like, just did everything that they... But the beauty of that was it felt natural, and you knew it wasn't going to be some screwy finish.
Right.
And there's factions all over New Japan, but the factions weren't coming out. Bullet Club didn't come out to help Marty win. You know what I mean?
Right. They do stuff like that sometimes, though.
It's
not
rare,
like it's
though.
but it's not every time that
When they
somebody's
do
out.
it,
A lot of
it's
Suzuki
special. Like, it's not
Suzuki
like Monday
Gun
Night
are
Raw.
usually the culprits on that one.
Yeah,
these
they're
days.
like, no, give us all the heat.
But like Monday Night
get
Raw,
out of here?
Monday Night Raw, you'll see that every single week. Every week, there's at least one finish that's screwy.
Right, and it's just no, we're not doing that. The other thing that I also like is a nice little nuance to everything too, since they're portraying everything as real. Matches have time limits. Like, they usually don't ever hit those time limits, but depending on where you are on the card, your match will have a 15-minute time limit for those guys at the bottom of the card. This match is a 30-minute time limit for blah, 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 blah. And those will be like your mid-card guys. But then when you start getting into those title matches, much like the UFC, if it's a regular match, 3 rounds. Title match, 5 rounds.
You like
So with the main event matches, 60 minutes. Finals of tournaments, 60 minutes.
I like the time reminders and minutes. 5 minutes has passed.
Right. Yeah, I like those things too. They're just little nuances that add to the whole feel of everything that you're doing. So, and you kind of can go like, oh, well, is there a time limit on this? Well, what's the time? It's 60 minutes. Oh, so they're probably going to go for a while. I mean, it's rare, like I said, that you see them hit a 60-minute draw or get close to 60 minutes at all, but they have the potential to go that far. And if they do, you better be prepared to just like change your pants or something, because it's going to be a good one.
That's another thing is like the unpredictability of New Japan, because they will have Okada lose. Like, you won't expect it. Like, I didn't expect Omega to beat Okada in the G1, because I'm like, you can't have Omega just beat him at the G1. That's anticlimactic. But he did, and then it did feel big, because you're like, man, now Kenny Omega's winning this thing. He just pinned the champion. Right. You know what I mean? And to me, like, that's what's cool is, like, no one's safe. Like, they book everyone strong, but they book it smart, where it's not like they're going to trade wins back and forth and 50-50 booking. And another thing I noticed is they can book more than one storyline and put attention into every detail, unlike WWE can. And I'm not here to shit on WWE, because I am a big WWE fan, but it feels like right now they're focused on Braun Strowman tearing down shit. Mm-hmm. And then they spend 90%. Yeah, I love it. They spent 90% of their meeting talking about what Braun's going to destroy, and 10% on the other 2 hours and 45 minutes of Raw. And it shows. When in New Japan, every storyline, Okada and Naito felt like huge. And then you had Omega and Jericho that felt huge. And then you had Jay White, this young lion, come out, and he wanted to take out Tanahashi, the old vet. And it felt huge. It was like, is this his moment? And they had 3 storylines, 3 main ones going on, and they didn't take away from each other.
I'd argue,
and that's what I love
up and down
like,
the card, to be honest.
Yeah,
because when you make everything real, and you have these titles, that's another big thing that New Japan does very well, is the importance that's placed on the prestige of having a New Japan title, it's considered something worth attaining, no matter how new, how old, or how seemingly to some fans unimportant as it may be. There is a prestige of having a New Japan title. They added into it's like, oh, well, you get more money, you get this, you get to headline shows. And that's the other thing. Not every pay-per-view is headlined by the same title. There's times where the junior heavyweight title could be the main title for that show. There's a time where the Intercontinental title is the main focus of that show, or the tags, or whichever. They have different places at different times.
Yeah, exactly. And that's and it's just like it goes back to what we were saying, where everything feels important. You said at the beginning, every title feels important, every person feels important, and it's just time and effort that they put into everything. Now, they didn't listen to Omega on his entrance, which if you haven't listened to Talk Is Jericho with Kenny Omega, go do that.
I'm working on it.
Because it's definitely like the best background stories you'll hear, and it really shows you what happened in preparation for that match and what goes on in New Japan, but how much New Japan cares. Like, to fly out 4 people to meet Chris Jericho, like New Japan really does want this to be a competition, and I think their in-ring product is better. Now, WWE does have some of my favorite superstars. I mentioned Rollins, Reigns, Balor, Styles, Nakamura, and I love all those guys, and I'm big fans. But it's almost less is more, and that's what I'm starting to realize.
For sure.
If I can only see Kenny Omega twice in 3 months on New Japan World Live, well, goddamn it, I'm going to watch that. You know what I mean? I have to watch that, because if not, I miss a Kenny Omega match, and you can't miss that because he has 20 televised a year,
right? And I think that's the greatest thing, too, because you now also limit the amount of time that these guys are putting their bodies on the line, too. So when they are able to go out, they're able to give that little bit more that they may not necessarily have to, as, like, with Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose or any of those guys, because they're on the road 300 days, where your average New Japan schedule is, 110 days out of the year they're actually working?
I believe they're going to start working more dates coming up,
right? Because they're
more
trying to expand.
Because we're trying to expand as a company, but it's still, it's different.
Yeah,
well, it's the oversaturation, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, the athletes aren't being overworked.
Yeah,
and we as fans,
we're not being overworked. Right. Yeah, we do podcasts, and like any good podcast, you had notes, you prep, we watch it, we prep, sometimes. We think what we want to talk about. Yeah, we make a rundown sometimes if we're not fucking asleep, because we have 7 hours of wrestling to consume by Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the problem, is I have 7 hours of wrestling to consume in 1 week. That's 28 hours dedicated to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I get fatigued.
Oh, so we feel it all the time, because we're sitting like, all right, Raw, SmackDown. There was a time where I would not watch it live because I just couldn't.
Not watch it live? A wink of Raw live, and he was just like, nope, I'm catch it on Hulu.
Mine flipped to SmackDown because of that.
I can't
lately. Because it's the same. It's okay. This week, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have the upper hand. Next week, AJ Styles will, and I'm good with that. I love all 3 of those guys. But it's like, give me a story. Give me the brawl. Give me a press conference. Give me a backstage attack. Give me something. Give me a blood feud. And that's what was so special about Jericho Omega. It felt like a blood feud. They felt like they hated each other so much. And that's what wrestling's supposed to be.
It keeps the real in wrestling.
Yes. My slogan, keep wrestling real. That is my tagline. And every show with that. And New Japan does it better than anyone. You have basically Sports Center in Japan talking about pro wrestling.
Wonderful.
You have them on the front page of the paper. You have them on the front page of magazines. Nakamura over there is Freddie Mercury.
Oh, yeah. He is a star.
He's a rock star.
Superstar.
Going into the scheduling, though, too, we sort of made mention of it before. They don't necessarily, like I said, they don't have a weekly show for anybody that's, again, who's new. They really have, I wrote them down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 big shows a year, almost every month or so, but they take some months off in between. But not everybody also works those. So what you end up having is, like right now, Wrestle Kingdom happened. There was a Road to Wrestle Kingdom show. So for like 3-4 weeks, they had a bunch of weeks of shows leading into Wrestle Kingdom. They finish off with New Beginning, and now all those people, they went home. And the next time that they come back is going to be starting in February, because that's when they have the next pay-per-view. So there's going to be a road to new beginning, and that's going to be the jumping off point for the next set of things. But then after that, they start doing tournaments. Tournaments are gigantic things in New Japan, and it also keeps a lot of those guys that don't, that maybe like, the heavyweights, like your Okada, Omega, whoever, and their first big tournament, I think, is New Japan Cup. I'm thinking Best of Super Juniors. But when something like the junior tournaments are going on, those guys take a back seat, and they just get to sit at home while the juniors shine and have a month to put on these crazy matches.
They wrestle a more relaxed schedule, whereas the juniors are the focus of those scheduled shows coming up.
Right, and when you do something like that too, is you give another part of your show a great opportunity to shine, because for the most part, the heavyweight title is considered the end-all, be-all in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but unlike in other places like the WWE, where the cruiserweights sort of seem secondary and forgotten, the junior heavyweight is a well sought after title. It has some serious prestige attached to it, and it is a big fucking deal to be the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. It's meant for those guys that are never going to be able to compete with the likes of your Okadas due to what they perceive, because it's real, a weight class difference, because a heavier guy hits harder, or I'm not going to see Kushida fight Ishii.
Yeah, or you could have a lighter guy will have an advantage in an endurance advantage and be able to outwork the bigger guy.
Right. Yeah. And so you have those opportunities for those smaller guys to be elevated and put the major spotlight on.
Yeah, I mean that's what's cool too, is their mid-card titles mean something, and New Japan has a lot of titles. That's one thing that, like, me a year into being a New Japan fan, I'm like,
not
holy
as many
shit.
As you'd think.
Yeah, I forget some of the titles though sometimes.
Right, well,
and
funny enough,
they got a bunch.
I'm prepared for that.
Yeah,
they got a bunch.
So let's go to the notepad. But like, you have the heavyweight.
Well, I'll counter your too many titles argument by saying the WWE on Raw and SmackDown, if you combine them both, have the exact same amount of
and I think that's way too many. This is me thinking. Okay, like,
go ahead.
Like, I'm an old school wrestling mind, if you will. Like, I love when WWF was the heavyweight championship, the Intercontinental Championship for the guys that were going to fight for the heavyweight championship eventually, the tag team championships, and then maybe like the European title that kind of feels like a lower card title.
Right.
That's it. Give me 4. Give me 4 and I'm good. And a women's championship now. So now you can take the European title out and just have the women, because they are carrying WWE right now, because they're putting on the best quality matches, in my opinion, and the best storylines. So
sometimes
there you go. Like, besides This Is Your Life with Bayley and Alexa, but
and the current SmackDown situation.
Yeah, that's a clusterfuck too. But you have the main title, the main women's title, the mid-card title, and the tag titles. And I think that would do fine. I think WWE's roster is way too big, so they're just, everyone gets a belt. It's like Oprah giving out cars.
But they're also on separate brands, though.
It's still like, but I hate the idea of having 2 heavyweight champions.
Because you can never, there's always going to be an A and a B. You can never really truly
that
see
idea,
number one.
And I always have, because I played competitive sports growing up, right?
Right.
There was one champion.
Right.
You won the championship or you fucking didn't.
Right.
Let's look at the answers right in front of them, though. I mean, the Universal Championship should be treated exactly how it sounds. If it's truly universal, then it's bigger than every other singles title on the show.
We can debate the finer points of how the
Yeah,
poor booking of WWE.
Yeah, because the Universal Champion should be, but guess what? Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, they never held that Universal title, so that title doesn't mean shit to me. You know? Bret Hart didn't win that, put that title up in an Iron Man match against Shawn Michaels, so the Universal title doesn't mean shit to me.
New Japan sort of has a little bit of the too many title syndrome, and that's even they used that as a story last year with Naito, because Naito was, when he was treating the Intercontinental title like a bag of garbage, he was saying that there's like, why do I have
in this
this
company?
Right? If we're adding the United States title and we have this and that and the other, then it doesn't really mean anything. But There is 8 titles in New Japan. Most of them are singles. There are 2 tag titles and a 6-man title that they just added.
They hot potato that thing like crazy, though.
Which is kind of fine.
It's fun. It's
because
fun.
It's a fun title. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be unpredictable for that one. So anytime that match happens, you never know who's going to win.
Just, like a little one-on-one. Like, think of that Trios Championship kind of as, like, the hardcore title in WWF. Where, like, you just don't know who's going to win it and when they're going to win it. Like, Wrestle Kingdom, did the Bullet Club lose it, right? Girls of Destiny and Folly, and didn't they win it the next night again?
No. BC is the current champion. I forgot who won at Wrestle Kingdom, to be honest.
Or what, this year?
Yeah, but they were the champions and they lost it and then they won it back.
They won it back, right? They
in a 24-hour span, they lost their titles and won them back.
Right. Most of the titles have a moniker of the IWGP on it. For those wondering what that actually means, it's the International Wrestling Grand Prix. It's just the name of the title. It doesn't really mean a whole it's because it goes with that realism thing. It was the name of a tournament way back when, but that's what that means. There's also ones called the Never Openweight and the Never 6-Man. Did you know there's actually a little acronym that stands for?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, it's weird. It was designed as like the new guys belt, but it quickly devolved from that. But it actually means New Blood Evolution Valiantly Eternal Radical for Never. They started out with the Never titles. They were brand new. I want to say they're barely a few years old, maybe 2012 or so.
They're a couple years old.
The 6-man just came out in December 2015. The longest reign for that, 228 days, which I was surprised. I didn't think they were going to hang on to those things for that long. With the longest reign and the most reigns for those were Los Ingobernables de Japón of Bushi, Evil, and Sonata. They have 3 reigns, longest at 228. The Never Openweight, like I said, that was designed to be something for the new guys to do, and it just didn't work out. And it turned out to be the strong style belt is the best way I can describe it. If you
If you want to see 2 giant garbage trucks smash into each other for 35 minutes, and then someone leaves with a belt and the other guy is almost dead, then there you go. The Never title's for you.
Yeah, that's proven to be I don't even know what I was trying to say there. That's proven to be the most brutal title fights I've ever seen.
Katsura Shibata, bro.
Yeah,
when he held that thing, he held that in the Rev Pro British heavy title, like right around the same time where he was hitting that peak, late 2016, early 2017 before his accident.
Yeah. If you want to see some crazy matches that you will not see anywhere else, I would suggest watching any of the Never Openweight title matches of the past, I'd say about a year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm. You can go 2. Year and a half.
Goto Shibata, Ishii Shibata, Ishii Goto, Goto Makabe, Hanma versus Ishii. They're all just
that was great.
Giant Japanese dudes.
I just have punching each other in the face. Thinking about them. Yeah, like the elbow smashes are giving me headaches right now. Yeah. Just like thinking about Ishii just laying in those elbows.
Mm-hmm. And if you're wondering what strong style actually means, it's kind of like everybody calls it the no-selling style. But it's not really, because it's based off of what the Japanese call fighting spirit, where you are like, all right, come on, hit me with everything you have. All right, was that it? Well, now it's my turn.
And then when you mix your roster with guys with some MMA experience, they could really crank up the realism with those hits.
Mm. With the Never, the reason it's called an open weight, where when we get into it, there's actually 2 weight divisions that they consider in New Japan, but the Never can be fought by anyone. So you can see some of those smaller guys get in and fight some of the bigger guys.
We're yet to see that happen.
It really doesn't happen. They kind of classify it as a heavyweight because Ishii is just going to eat somebody if they get too close. or you might have to get in against the scariest man alive.
Yes, that's the psychopath Suzuki.
Oh my god, he's a maniac.
How terrifying is he?
Yeah, Don Callis is actually scared of Suzuki.
He should be.
He said it on Talk Is Jericho. He's like, I am usually not intimidated. He's like, I am legit scared of this man.
He's actually beaten Ken Shamrock I think that was real.
Twice.
Yeah, he's a badass. He just looks like he doesn't give a shit. He looks like he would just kill you and laugh.
He gives zero
fucks. How about Wrestle Kingdom when he put Goto out and Goto, he didn't come back at any time. He went out, arms dropped, and then he was and it was literally the next 10 minutes of the ref just like, come on, man, are you good for this?
Oh yeah, he put him the fuck out. Dude, I love that shit though. Like, I think that's so cool to watch, and that was the thing with Wrestle Kingdom. I was worried about the undercard because I was like really ready for the final 4 matches. That's what I was looking forward to, and the undercard was one of the best things I've ever watched. Like that match, Suzuki was just fucking laying it in, and I was like, holy shit! Like someone's going to die in this fight.
That's the idea.
Young Lions. That's exactly what they're ringside fodder.
young boys. Somebody needs to die. Send out the young boys. The Nevers are pretty much the sort of mid, sort of undercard titles. So sometimes we'll see them headline the show. Yeah. Not often. They're mostly a secondary title.
They'll have a couple shows where they book multi-cities. It's like it's a 2-parter or even as much as a 3-parter. So you'll have, I believe, last Power Struggle was how that worked out. You had the U.S. title headlining one night, and then the other night was either the Intercontinental or the Never Open.
Right. Well, let's get into the other ones. All the other ones, they're pretty much broken up by either weight class or like secondary titles. There's 2 types of tags: the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team and the Heavyweight Juniors. It's the only difference is how big are the dudes fighting in the match, and they're both equally entertaining.
Unquote.
Yeah, they're equally entertaining. They have about the same prestige for it. Again, there's been the junior tag; they're up to their 55th champion, and the heavyweight tags are up to their 79th. That's another thing that I like that they keep track of. They keep track of what
lineage
number title holder that is for each individual.
They do that in WWE as well.
Yeah, but they don't
Jinder Mahal,
nearly as much
unfortunately, Jinder Mahal was the 50th champion.
Yeah, but they don't usually do that in.
No, it's not like known. They could have skipped 38 through 43, and who would have known?
Exactly. But with New Japan, like anytime somebody wins, it's like your winner, the 65th IWGP.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. It makes everything feel important. It doesn't just feel like a belt at that point. It feels like you're winning like a lineage. You're winning tradition.
The heavyweight tags, the most out of those is Tenzan and Kojima. If you're not familiar with Tenzan and Kojima, they've been around a long time. I think Tenzan was an NWA champion at one point in time in the past, but they have the most reigns at 6, and the longest reign was Matt Bloom and Carl Anderson. At
Carl Anderson, baby.
564 days. Going back to the Never Openweight, since that's a relatively newer one, Ishii sits the title at most reigns of 4, and the first ever champion, Tanaka, has a 314-day reign. The junior heavyweight tags are where is that? The most of them we saw 7. Your most reigning champions. I can't even fucking speak.
The Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks was 7.
Mm-hmm.
7, and I think they're ahead of everybody by like 2 or 3.
They're not lying. They're soon to go down as one of the best junior tag teams they've ever had.
The 55th junior heavyweight tag team champions. And like you said, you can pretty much say, as far as New Japan goes, the Young Bucks are the greatest junior heavyweight tag team of all time. No one has more reigns. No, I think they have like the second longest combined reign. The only other ones, that's the junior heavyweight in general. But yeah, the longest reign's 348 days for those ones because there's a lot of flippy stuff in those matches.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little crazy.
Opening the last 3 Wrestle Kingdoms in a row.
And some of the most fun matches I've had in tag team wrestling.
But that's the thing. That's what so those tag titles, you know what that felt like to me? And again, going back in time a little bit. Remember when Eddie and Ray used to open up a WCW pay-per-view for the Cruiserweight and steal the show? That's exactly what it felt like. That was like, I was like, holy shit, the Bucks are out, and like they put on this great fun match that's entertaining. And yeah, it's flippy, but guess what? It keeps you glued to the TV.
Yep.
And I was legit, like my excitement went up as soon as like they came out, and I was like, oh shit, this match is gonna be awesome.
Yeah. They never disappoint. I've never been disappointed by a major show junior heavyweight tag match ever.
featuring Young Bucks.
Just in general.
I mean, just junior heavyweights in general. That whole division is just like it's
stacked right now.
It's crazy the amount of talent. Like, we're gonna get into it, but
Well,
it's crazy.
We'll go into the juniors right now. The junior heavyweight division is like, it's considered sometimes to be, I wouldn't put it at the number 2 title in the company because that fluctuates, but it's top 5 title in the company. I'd say for sure, right? I'm not crazy
Yeah.
if it's saying
I would
that?
put it 3.
Yeah,
A major cornerstone of that
absolutely.
show.
I would put it.
Go ahead.
3. Yeah, I put obviously heavy, intercontinental, and then that, and then the tag title. So I put it 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They put a lot of importance on the tags too. The tags are no joke. Like sometimes the tag team divisions in other companies will just disappear for months on end, and the tag divisions mean a big deal. You'll see guys go for years without breaking up.
Yeah, that's the one thing I can say that WWE is getting better at now is like kind of keeping people together.
It's the one thing that's good on SmackDown.
like you haven't made the Usos fight yet. Don't make them
Please
fight.
don't.
Oh
Never
my
break
They're
up.
amazing. Just keep them the Usos
Never break
forever.
up. But the junior heavyweight title made popular by the legend Jushin Thunder Liger. He holds the record for longest reign and most title reigns with 11 and 628 days long.
Jesus.
That's long. No one holds titles like that anymore, and he did that in the last decade.
That's why he's a legend.
Yeah,
awesome.
Seriously. And
That's
he can
awesome.
still go, too. I'm so happy that I've gotten a chance to see Liger live a few times.
Like 8 or 9 times, dude. So many
it's
times
been
we've seen
great.
him.
Every time I see him at a live show, I'm never disappointed either. And from a guy that's, 87?
52, something like that.
That's 87 in wrestling years.
Yeah, kind of.
But the juniors are fun, man. If you want to know who else has won junior heavyweight titles that's really, really popular right now, his name's Finn Balor.
Yep.
He is probably I think he's like 3rd or 4th longest reign champion with 419 days he held that title.
Yep.
And you can also say, I think the greatest modern junior heavyweight that we're going to ever see is Kushida. He's got 5 reigns. They've been the longest at 257. But you want to talk about a stacked division? You want to see some fun matches? The junior heavyweight division is yours. What the match what's happened at Wrestle Kingdom was almost a better match than most other matches on that card.
I think it kind of stole the show. It definitely it just like Jericho Omega. It lived up to the hype, and if not exceeded.
They went over their limit, but Marty's probably he's the number 1 seller on pro wrestling tees right now.
He should have on most people's lists been breakout star of the year.
Yeah, and he was amazing. And then you have Ospreay who proved he's a lot more than flippy shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we've known about that for a little while.
Yeah, but everyone
sure.
who wanted to shit on that, but like you have this division, and
Then
wasn't
Hiromu and Kushida
wasn't
and
Omega in the junior division, and then he just put on some weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
Put on some weight.
quote unquote put on weight.
Put on some weight, like gained 5 pounds. Like, okay, you're ready.
And that was an amazing run for Kenny too.
Yeah.
That was a chance for this is also what they were able to do too. It's a chance for some of those guys who are that like sort of a not quite a heavyweight but can think about being a heavyweight, for those guys to prove themselves with a title, to go through. Like when Kenny was first joining the Bullet Club, he went on like a 9-month run, I think, with the junior title as he was quote unquote cleaning up the garbage in the junior division.
The cleaner.
And it was fucking
First, I
wonderful.
took out the Mexican trash, and then I took out the Japanese trash. Now I'm gonna take out the Detroit trash. Great promo.
Yeah, and it gives those guys a chance to shine. And they're wonderful. And you know what? They mean just as much as everybody else around here. But that division right now, you've got Hiromu. You've got, I forget who's in Suzuki-gun, but you've got Kushida, Ospreay, Skrull, and probably 4 or 5 other people that we haven't even got a chance to see recently because there's 4 really big names that are fighting for that title right now.
I mean, there's nothing I can say except if when everyone was excited about the Cruiserweight Classic, the junior heavyweight in New Japan is just as exciting with more household names.
Oh, absolutely. And
like the Cruiserweight Classic did bring over some guys from New Japan like Ibushi, and it was awesome, and I loved it. But like, one thing I lack is like, and I loved cruiserweights. Like Rey Mysterio was my favorite growing up. Him and Owen Hart. So I like smaller guys who can work. You know what I mean? Who can go. And to me, like, I watched that match, the juniors, and the whole juniors division. It felt to me like WCW, like where we got Jericho and Guerrero and Mysterio and Malenko and Juventud Guerrero and Ultimo Dragon, and it felt like that. I'm like, holy shit, this roster is stacked, and the matches are nonstop. They give them time. It's not a 6-minute thing, and you're not going to waste 4 minutes on promos saying people are soft. Like, it was literally everything that I want it's everything I want WWE to do with the cruiserweight. Like, take notes, dude, because you have the talent in WWE to do it.
You got enough time on the shows too,
and you don't think about it like that. And that's where New Japan comes in, because I this is how I treat them. New Japan's my pro wrestling company. WWE is my entertainment company. I love them both. I love them in different ways, and I hate different things about each of them. Don't really hate much about New Japan, but I dislike stuff about both of them, whether it's the network, whether it's this, whether it's that. But one's wrestling, one's sports entertainment. But my problem with the Cruiserweight title was you had this awesome tournament for it. It was amazing. Gave us some of the best matches, Gargano and Ciampa, and then it gets to the main card, and Neville leaves, and now it's like, well, what the hell? And then you turn on New Japan, and you see 4 guys backflipping off of shit to try to win this championship. Like, that's what it should be.
I completely agree with you, sir. Let's move on. We've got some of the mid-card titles and finally the heavyweight. So there's 2 mid-card titles kind of in New Japan right now. They're the Intercontinental United States Champion. The only thing you need to know about the United States Championship is Kenny Omega won it, and he's not letting go of it. That's all there really is to say about the U.S. title.
They couldn't crown him at Wrestle Kingdom, but they had a backup plan ahead of time. United States Championship.
Brand new, just made in July of last year at the LA show. Great little tournament there for that. Kenny Omega's the champ, and that's all you need to know.
For that.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful
Go
title.
back and watch it.
Yeah, I've come around on it. I wasn't too hot about it at first, but I'm
It
like,
doesn't look.
It's
It
awesome.
doesn't look like a 4th of July paper plate like the other one.
I like the other one. I don't mind.
I
that
don't.
one so
I
bad.
don't. I feel like I'm just gonna put a hot dog on it, and then maybe put a little ketchup on the side.
Then there's the Intercontinental title, another one of those titles that's not just on the back burner sometimes. This is a legit big deal title. It's pretty much Shinsuke Nakamura's belt.
Yes, that's shit. Yep.
It's still remembered as such. Everybody in Japan, when they think of the Intercontinental title, most fans of New Japan will say, "Oh yeah, that's the Nakamura title," because the Nakamura has the longest reign and the most reigns. He has 5 reigns, and 313 days is the longest. It came out. It came out in around like the 90s, 2000s ish. I think, if I'm correct, me if I'm
Like
wrong,
2008, I believe.
Yeah, it's a
it
relatively
came out.
new title.
MVP was the first champ.
Right. It's a relatively new title.
That's a fucking beer hall question right there. That's some wrestling quiz. Like, who was the first IWGP Intercontinental Champion?
MVP.
MVP?
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
No, but yeah, when I was told that, I'm like, really?
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting. But
Shinsuke's got some Miz numbers on there.
yeah,
in that thing.
Yeah, Shinsuke, and that's what I remember. Like, when I started like kind of dabbling in it and watching a match here, a match there, Shinsuke was the Intercontinental champion, and that's why I love Shinsuke too. Is because I wanted him to come to WWE, win the Intercontinental Championship, and break Honky Tonk Man's record. Because I want him to be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, ever, everywhere. But like then you have Naito, where the Intercontinental title like was the belt that was getting disrespected, and I love that too.
And
like
that became the story too when he fought Tanahashi.
Yeah, I loved it. He was like, "Fuck this title."
Well,
I don't want
it was
this
just
shit.
more of that disrespect or not caring thing, and then he built into the thing of like, well, we've got too many titles around here. It's starting to not to mean anything anymore. And then Tanahashi comes back and wins it off of him, and is Tanahashi about everything.
Tana's it up really good.
Yeah, he does. You know what? You said something really great
I did?
the other day about having Tanahashi still around is great because not everybody's going to be able to get to Okada. So it's like Tanahashi's a great thorn in everybody's side because because he's Tanahashi. What would you say?
Yeah,
It was,
yeah. It was like having two giant baby faces on that show. Like,
So you can't give the title to this guy. So you know what? Have Tanahashi beat him.
yeah, you can't. Okada also at the same time he can't grow too big for that with that title because there's Tana always around the corner.
Right. And I think that we might see something like that soon because Okada's really the man right now. And
It's been a while. It's been a while.
And since we're talking
Is that
about
going on 2 years, right?
since we're talking about him, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion is the end-all, be-all in New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you have this title, you are the man. No questions asked. You are considered to them the best in the world. There's no argument from anybody because that title proves it.
It's such a big deal. JBL's going to mention it if you're on the show.
That's true.
Same as Brock Lesnar.
True. Brock
Yeah,
Lesnar
right.
won it. Kurt Angle hung on to that for a minute too,
Yes,
didn't
he did.
So longest reign, Japanese John Cena, Tanahashi. He's got 7 of them, more than anybody else. But the longest reign is your current champion, Kazuchika Okada, at 571 plus days. He won it from Naito about a year and a half ago and hasn't looked back since.
And he's going to lose it to Naito
Maybe.
at the 2 years. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. He could hold. That was a great question that we got this past week. Where does Okada go from here? He's had this title forever.
He has Sonata now.
Right. Should
So-
win that one. I don't see.
He'll win that. I mean, there's no really if you're going to have anyone from Los go over, it has to be Naito.
Right.
But who's next?
I don't know.
Jericho at Long
love to
Beach.
see that.
Jericho at Long Beach is a legit answer at this moment because he beat Naito, he beat Omega.
Could you imagine if Chris Jericho wins the heavyweight title?
Oh my God!
Holy, the thought just really for the first time cropped into my brain, and it's blowing it completely out.
You know
front and back.
what's amazing about this episode? And we're sitting here talking about New Japan, and we're saying I'm not here to shit on WWE. I'm just saying what I don't like about WWE and what New Japan offers to counter what I don't like. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're sitting here talking about New Japan, and we're saying the name Chris Jericho.
Absolutely, yeah, it's bananas.
I fucking love it.
It's bananas.
I
3
love
years
it.
ago, I'm like, what? I would have looked at you like you were
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, I couldn't tell you whether or not that match is going to happen, but I'll tell you one thing, though. Okada's job right now is to expand the brand.
Now,
And if
can
that means wrestling
Ibushi
Chris
challenge
Jericho,
for it?
absolutely.
Can Ibushi challenge
He
for it?
probably could, but
Probably could.
I think he's just one of those weird guys that they might not pull off.
Ibushi's never gonna. Yeah, Ibushi's never gonna get the title until he
Ibushi
stops
wouldn't
being
sign
such a.
with
He's such a
WWE.
weird cat.
Yeah, and that's why we all love Ibushi to death, though.
Well, would you
I
put
mean-
it? Would you put the company on his back?
No.
I don't think
No.
so.
No.
He's the smoothest person in the ring, though, I think I've ever seen.
He's so good.
He's just and it's effortless.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't even look like he's trying.
The other great thing about New Japan, let me just jump in real quick, since we're talking
Yeah.
about the title before we move on from it, is there's another really interesting stat when I was looking it up, and we've kind of said this on this show before. Josh, how many people have held that title in the past 4 years?
3.
Since 2012, there have been 4 men to hold
that's
the
right.
IWGP heavyweight title. Since 2012.
So you got Styles, Tanahashi,
Mm-hmm.
Okada.
Mhm.
Who's the fourth?
You mentioned him like 3
Just a
seconds ago.
moment ago.
Naito.
Yep. He had it last
Wow.
year. He had it. He's the one who lost it to.
Oh yeah, he lost it to Okada.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Holy, that's crazy.
4 guys since 2012.
I love it. I love it. That means when someone beats Okada, people are gonna be
a
fucking shocked.
Big fucking deal.
I love it. I love that's just and it's not like where it's like back in the day when Bruno Sammartino wrestled one show every 6 months and he was a champ for 10 years.
Yeah.
They wrestle 20 shows a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
They usually do. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or 8 big shows a year, and
is that counting LA now too?
Well, where I'm thinking about when the title would be on the line, the title is usually on the line 3 or 4 times a year.
I mean, that number's only gonna go up, especially when
Yeah,
you
exactly.
start doing shows with
But
Ring
it's-
of Honor.
It's my point is it's getting defended. It's not like it's not being defended.
Yeah.
And it's very visible. And for someone to hold on to it, and I love long reigns. I love when people get to see if the title makes the person or the person makes the title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and Okada right now is making that title. Like when Okada gets beat, that championship's going to mean so fucking much.
Oh yeah, to anybody who beats it, and it could be the four guys, the three other guys that we talked of. It could be somebody else completely different. But when it happens, it's going to be a very, very big deal, because when you have somebody that goes more than 300 days with a title, they're like a unicorn. It doesn't really happen that often.
But here's the perfect example because if you're listening to this and you want to learn about New Japan, what happened when Punk lost the title? We were all shocked because it was 434 days.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we were like, whoa, like
fucking Rock.
And he gave it to the Rock, which was
God.
Oh. I love you. I love
I'm
Dwayne
so
Johnson.
glad I wasn't watching then.
I love Dwayne Johnson. I love The Rock. Like if I could model building,
don't get me wrong. Love The
it's
Rock.
The Rock. But it was The Rock because he had to win it to take it to WrestleMania because he was the movie star Rock, and Vince McMahon wanted the title to be part of like The Rock's whole red carpet attire, and The Rock didn't even take it with him.
Yeah.
It's like get
That
paid fucking
never
$50 million
happens in
a year.
this. You know, you want to watch New Japan, folks? That will never happen.
Nope.
That's never going to happen.
No,
You're not going to have some guy come out of nowhere.
Until Jericho wins it, and everything we just said's fucking wrong.
Yeah, but that's a little bit of a different animal. It's not like he's not going to stick around and do the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, he's not going to be via satellite all the time.
Right,
He's
exactly.
not going to be defending that thing.
The last thing I'll get into, since we pretty much covered most of the things, we got titles, we got no regular weeklies and stuff like that, the realism, all that stuff. Two things, actually. Tournaments are a regular occurrence in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You might hear one that goes on every year. It's called the G1. We mentioned it before, but there are tournaments like this all year round, and not just the G1. The G1 just happens to be the most important of them. It's akin to winning the heavyweight title, because it's a month-long fucking tournament to where you're wrestling 2-3 guys a
17,
week.
18 shows altogether.
There was how many 5-star matches in this last G1?
I think about 3.
There was a lot.
My favorite match by far, I even liked it better than Omega Okada, was Omega Naito.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think that was the New Japan match of the year. Just, I'm not Meltzer, so my opinion doesn't matter, but that was my personal favorite. So if you want to go back and watch a G1 match, watch Omega versus Naito.
Oh, for sure. And any of the G1s, if you don't have to watch them all the matches, because it's a lot of wrestling, but when there's certain ones, we even say it on here, we circle our match sheet and like that one, oh yeah, that one, and always the semifinals and finals of any tournament if you're interested. They also do a bunch of other tournaments. They do ones called like the Best of the Super Juniors, which is an all junior heavyweight tournament. The winner of that generally gets a junior heavyweight title. The first of the year is usually the New Japan Cup. I think the stipulation on that recently is it's a single elimination tournament, so it's like 16 guys or whatever, and the winner of that gets their choice of titles. But then you get something like the G1, where you'll have these kind of round-robin tournaments. So you get put into blocks of 6, 10, 12, however many wrestlers each. You wrestle either of those guys one time, and depending on the result of the match, you will get either 3 points, 1 point, or 0 points. And the neat thing about that is that's when you have these matches that are set where the time limits that we talked about earlier come into play, because all of those block matches are 30-minute time limits. And more than often, a lot of those go to draws sometimes for guys that just don't wrestle each other that much, aren't familiar or whatever, or they just can't figure each other out. And
Suzuki
they get to a draw.
Gun gets involved and then just destroys everything. Like, yeah, we're going to have to throw this one out.
Yeah, and so you'll have those 30-minute draws, and they add a lot to what happens, because that happened a few times in the G1. You'll see a lot of upsets, like your Juice Robinson beating Kenny Omega and taking 3 points away from what everybody had. You know, oh, Kenny's winning 3 right here, 2 points, or whatever it is. You know.
Say it again.
So you do see a lot of cool things like that. It's an added way to add some more drama.
And there's always a dark horse. Like Carl Anderson was a G1 finalist, and and this year I don't know why, but I really thought Tama Tonga was going to be. I thought that was my dark horse.
As shit.
That was my dark horse. I thought Tama Tonga was going to win and take over the club and kick Kenny out. That was my dream booking. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was my but because
They like to do
Tama Tonga-
upsets a lot, though, too.
Tama Tonga had so many great promos, like during that time.
Bullet
and, like,
Club Loyal.
He felt like such a big star going into the G1 that I'm like, oh, they're setting him up to win this fucking thing, aren't they? But I was wrong.
Even in the hype packages going into each G1, it's like, I'm gonna win this whole fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight and to the point.
And then you have, like I said in there real quick, was that they like to do upsets a lot too. So when you have the single elimination tournaments where it's just 8 guys win and you go on to get the title, you'll see these weird guys like Toru Yano was wonderful for these upsets too, because he just cheats constantly, and he could be one of my favorite wrestlers of all time just because of the pure ridiculous of it. He just, ref isn't looking, low blow, roll him up, win.
Yeah.
Tie him up to the outside. Remember, he had that match. He got into a deal with Suzuki because he kept taping him up. Like, what are you
They had
doing?
like a 3-match feud that started it started in the G1 when he beat him by kicking him in the ding ding. And then it just escalated from there, and it just ended with him tying up Suzuki on the outside. And it was a count-out victory, I think, or some crazy like that.
He got a victory over him because he tied him up like a calf being strung up at the rodeo. And he's like, God, don't anybody let him go because you're going to get punched first.
Yeah. Young boys are destroyed.
One thing we kind of touched on when we were talking about Bull Club Loyal, too, is like the factions. We really didn't get into them. And I think that that's what really draws me into, because my favorite thing about professional wrestling is the Shield. I'm not afraid to admit that. And
That's
growing
fine.
up, it was
a good choice.
It was the Shield.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, CM Punk got me back into wrestling. The Shield kept me back in wrestling. And now the Balor Club. I love that. I love the New Day. I love factions. I love people coming together for the greater good. It's like Justice League. You know what I mean?
Right.
My nerd side loves that shit.
Yeah. And the nice thing with factions in New Japan is they're a very big deal, because it enables them to have these teams of people that are in this constant power struggle over titles, over control in the company, and things like that. So you have your freelancers that are just kind of like, they wrestle under, I forget, there's a specific name for them, but they're just free agent sort of guys that wrestle under what's called the New Japan Lion. And they're just like, they wrestle for New Japan. Tanahashi's one of them, but he kind of bounces around and does whatever his thing is. But then there's about I'd say 4 or 5 general big factions in New Japan, and they're of varying different. I don't think they're all good guy or bad guy, but most of them have some of those tendencies to, for sure. Like Suzuki-gun, run by Minoru Suzuki.
Jerks.
Those are assholes.
Everybody hates them. Everybody.
Every one
I picked
of
that
them.
up. I picked that up on Wrestle Kingdom. Like, everyone fucking hates them.
Oh no,
guys.
they're bad guys. Like they're over, but they're fucking
They're getting
bad guys.
all the Western style heat.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
They're the Japanese bad guy team. It's a bunch of mean, don't give a fuck, want to fight, win at all costs, MMA wrestler style guys. And Suzuki runs it, and it's like, if you get behind me, we're going to punch everybody in the face, and that's it, because no one's going to fuck with me. That's pretty much what they are.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the best I've ever heard them described.
Yeah,
They're just hard hitters. They just want to. They're literally like. They're like the drunk people at the bars that like hang out just to go get in fights.
And
like they're the ones. They're the ones that are like, hey, we're going out tonight, and like some crews are like, hey, let's go pick up chicks, and another crew are like, no, let's just go fuck someone up.
Yep.
Suzuki guns, the people that go to just beat people up.
Yep, that sounds about right. And they can all fight too. Like they're
Yes.
not like they're all. Some of them can actually fight, like not just
Like
wrestle. Like no,
Suzuki.
they'll fuck you up. And Zack Sabre Jr., Suzuki are the two big men out of that one that would be the most
Big
I'd say
names.
big names out of that one.
Yeah.
You have another smaller secondary sort of group. Taguchi Japan is
Good. I'm glad you didn't
super
forget
fun.
them out.
Super fun. They're like the sports anime faction, I want to say, because everything from their entrance and everything just screams like baseball sports anime team, and that just has a really fun. They're the ultimate good guys. That they're usually underdogs, but a lot of them can really wrestle. Your big names out of that, Taguchi, the AKA Funky Weapon, who he's just silly. He's fun. He's really difficult not to like if you start watching him.
Ricochet.
And then Kushida is also, and Juice Robinson.
Juice.
Well, Ricochet for now.
For now. Rumor has it.
Until
he's coming to NXT.
Yeah, I don't think he's
until 2 weeks at the Rumble.
Oh,
I
man.
think he's going to WWE.
Yeah, I'll get into that another time. So, I love Taguchi Japan. Their entrance, it's so ridiculous. If you've
It's
watched
like
some
a-
sports anime,
yeah.
it's exactly like that.
It's a band. It's band. What are they? Band horns or something like that?
Oh, it's the trumpets and stuff
Trumpets
like that.
and shit.
They're silly and goofy and whatever. Now to your big three factions here. These three are the ones that will be fighting the most. They will get the most interest.
3. There's only 2.
Well, you got
Oh,
Chaos.
Sorry, I had to tell him to get the door. So.
Yeah, you got Chaos, you got Bullet Club, and you got Los.
Let's start with Los Ingobernables de Japón. Los Ingobernables was pretty much made because Naito was given the shaft, like we mentioned before at that G1.
Mm-hmm.
He went on excursion for a little bit to Mexico, and that's where he met a man by the name of La Sombra, who you may know today as Andrade Cien Almas.
You're NXT champion, baby.
Current NXT champion, correct, sir. When he was there, he kind of picked up a very don't give a fuck about anything attitude after being screwed over, and that's when he drew a bunch of people to his side in the likes of Evil, Bushi, Sanada, and Hiromu Takahashi.
That's
All of
such a
these men have
fucking
helped.
good faction.
Yeah, they're real good.
That is a good
and
faction.
they are maybe the most over faction in New Japan currently right now as
They
we
have
speak.
they have the tag titles.
I'm
and
just
now
saying they're the most over in general,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
of the fan support. Everybody was.
Well, it's crazy that Naito should be hated, but he's now loved.
He's a rock star. It's
Yeah.
because he's got the rock star gimmick, essentially.
He's Tranquillo, man.
Tranquilo. It's just fun. It's that cocky guy that you want to hate, but you can't help but like.
But you want to be him.
Exactly.
You hate him, but you want to be that cool.
Right. Everybody wants to hate him, but you want to be him at the same time. And all the other guys in the group, they're like the weird rock stars. Like Sanada looks like Doyle from Danzig with the freaking hair and everything. And it's all sorts of just really
Evil's
cool.
got the weird hair as well.
Yeah, and they all look like they've just they've stepped
punk
right
rockers.
out of an anime.
Yeah, they're punk rockers.
Then you've got the Bullet Club. You
Yes.
probably know about Bullet Club, folks.
I don't know who they are.
You've seen the shirts. This is where they came from. They were formed by Devitt way back in, I'd say, about 6 or so years ago, a.k.a.
Devitt.
Finn Balor.
Devitt, Anderson, Gallows, and Fale.
Correct.
The core 4.
And then they're pretty much the Westerner faction. There's not too many non-Japanese guys that are not in a faction, and if they are, they're probably in Bullet Club for the most part. There's a handful here and there. There's Jay White just joined Chaos.
Chaos,
There's,
yeah.
Zack
Well, that was a
Sabre
great
Jr.'s and
swerve.
Suzuki
That was a
Gun.
great swerve.
Yeah. But Bullet Club, if you're not from Japan, you're probably in Bullet Club. Big names: Omega, Cody, the Young Bucks, Adam Page, Gorillas of Destiny, Fale. Takahashi is the only Japanese guy, and then you have Marty Scurll, who is taking everything over right now.
Marty is amazing.
Right?
Marty's fucking amazing.
And then
I really got into Marty this year. So
yeah, as well you
that's
should have,
someone,
sir.
That's someone who you can see at Ring of Honor too. So you can watch him on Ring of Honor and New Japan Television. Really, really dive in to Marty Scurll because he is really fucking good. Really good.
We've shared one of my favorite videos when he was just winning the television title in Ring of Honor. Was it 3 things you need to know about Marty Scurll or 5 things you need to know about Marty Scurll?
5.
It's the best video. If you want to know about him, just watch that video. It's perfect. Might have the best entrance in pro wrestling today.
Oh, by far. At least I don't know. I love Balor. I like Demon Balor's right now.
Yeah, it's
but
really good. Well,
the Demon Balor,
Scurll is
Nakamura,
really great too.
and then the villain. I think the villain's entrance attire is different. It's something we've never seen.
Oh, for sure. And it's every
we've
show.
seen the demon stuff. We've seen Kane. We've seen Undertaker. You know what I mean? But we've never seen he comes out as a bird, but it's like a freaky bird.
It's a raven or a crow, and
It's a scary bird, you know.
And finally, your last big faction, you may have heard of it. It's called Chaos, formed by Shinsuke Nakamura and the gentleman that we mentioned before, the hype man / cheeky heel salesman of the crew, Toru Yano, who could be my favorite goofy bad guy in the history of ever. Just because they wanted to just create a little fun and be bad guys at the same time. Since he's left, Okada has taken over the crew. He managed to get Goto on board after just beating the crap out of him for a while.
It's like, come on, man, you need the rub.
You need a W here. Get on board. We'll make it easier for you. Ishii, Will Ospreay is a part of them. Roppongi 3K, Toru Yano, and Gato round out essentially the big names.
Rocky Romero.
Trent.
Roppongi 3K. So. No, Trent Beretta's not with Beretta. He's not with them anymore, I thought.
He's still part of. He's still part of Chaos.
Well, that was most of the big names.
But he's just wrestling in a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight now.
Right. Anyway, and that pretty much rounds out the factions of New Japan. Was there anybody I left out? No, right? I got them all.
I'm looking at former members, and I see Carl Anderson, and it's just great. I'm like reading all the former members too. It's like the cool thing is they all jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can all jump ship. Like that's the cool. They all turn on each other eventually.
At
like
some
Jay
point,
White,
sure.
Jay White was offered Bullet Club and joined Chaos, and watch in a year he'll be wearing a Bullet Club shirt.
It could very well be possible. I think that exhausts pretty much most of our options. Did I leave anything out, Joshua?
I think we covered all the bases.
I think so.
Did you plug the website?
No, I plugged it at the end, but we should allow the gentleman calling in from the Skype line to plug all of his stuff right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, every Friday on the New Age Insiders Wrestling Network, you can catch me, G-Ron, and Phil on the Rant with Ant. It is on Spotify, Podomatic, Stitcher, iTunes, Glurk Normal, wherever you can find podcasts, we're there. We have a store. It's represent.com. Look up Rant with Ant. I have more merch than the Young Bucks.
Wow.
Got to make that money.
I release a lot of shirts because I create my own logos. So when I like something and I want to put on a shirt, I do it for myself, and then you guys can buy it. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Rant with Ant, and yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was a really, really fun time. I know we connected in Brooklyn, and that was great. And looking forward to NXT, hanging out beforehand, having a couple drinks. I'm not going to drink all. Not going to drink
drunk this time.
Not going to drink all the Fireball in Philadelphia. Promise.
Eat some delicate meats of Philadelphia.
Right, exactly. And try not to get any rat poison in it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to have a couple. I'm going to have a couple cheesesteaks myself. All right. I'm on a diet, so that weekend it's all bets are off when I'm in Philadelphia.
And it's over.
Excuse me, sir. Do you like diarrhea?
Yeah, right. It's like I mixed Brooklyn NXT because I was thrown up outside because I was so drunk. I'm gonna miss this because the run's great.
Welcome to Philadelphia. Here's the toilet. Well, you can. On that note, you can follow us Instagram, Twitter @TheWHPC, Facebook.com/World Heavyweight Podcast, TheWHPC.podbean.com. As always, I'm your host Howie Farrell. That over there.
It's Josh Rivera.
We'll see you next Wednesday. Wednesday, right? Because we're putting this up at another time. Wednesday. Normal show.
Wednesday.
Regular time.
Watch
same bet
Watch
channel.
everything we talked about today on NJPWworld.com.
And Access TV.
And Access TV.
We'll see you guys next week.
Stadler? Yeah, what?
Is that it?
Yes, it's over. How'd you like it?
I don't know. I slept through the whole thing.
Well, you didn't miss much.